Hello again, this is Keith Swenson, and I've got some great new user interface to show you for running meetings. This represents a couple of months of development. We were looking at the way people were using meetings, and we found out that that one page for the meeting was a little bit too complicated to use. It was trying to be something for everybody. It was trying to be the agenda, it was trying to be the notes, it was trying to be the controller, and all that stuff. So, what we have done is we've taken your excellent feedback, thank you very much, and we've turned now the meetings into this 7 tabbed display. Um, Rather than talk about it, let me just show it to you. So you get to it by clicking on meetings just like normal. This is going to look very familiar to you, but we still have the clone and the delete options, but there's a number of new ones. First of all, if you want to see the agenda, you can click right on the agenda and see the agenda for the meeting directly. This is done like a document. It's viewable online, looks like a finished thing, and there's this link here. If you click on that link, it gives you just the agenda by itself, and you can print this out or you can take the URL and send it to anybody. This will be kept synced with the meeting. Also, of course, you can get here to the details, but also there's a column now for minutes. So if you want to see the minutes that have been generated, this takes you directly to the minutes display. And again, this is linked as a document. You can print it, you can send it out and read it online or exchange it within email messages. So every meeting has two sort of documents with it. It's got the agenda and it's got the minutes. Now I'm going to quickly run through some of the rest of these. The settings, pretty much what you recognize from before. Here's how you set the agenda format. There's a number of different formats for agenda and for minutes. So try that out. If you change that, that'll change the way it displays over here in the agenda and minutes. Another thing is it's nice to be able to select and copy, paste. It's like nice to be able to run through these links, but then how do you edit them? Right now, if you want to change a value, point to it and double click on it, and that will always bring up the editor. Now that's a little different than we did before. If I want to change the name, I double click on it and I can now edit the name. This allows us to have editors and also allow you still to select the text. So I think you'll see that actually makes it a little bit nicer. We have a tab for the participants, no big surprise there. Here's all the people that are signed up, but in the same list we can keep track of whether they attended the meeting or not. That becomes an easy way to track that, and also whether they expect to attend it beforehand. We have another tab for start time. So here we've gone through a process of proposing a set of times, and different people have responded different ways, and then we ended up selecting this time. So that's the time that the meeting is set for up here, and we still have the time zones just like we had in the old display. So you can know that if your team is spread around the world, you can know what day and time it's going to be. Then we get the overview, and the overview gives you sort of your agenda like this, all of the items in your agenda. And finally, the most important section is the edit. Now here, you're seeing the agenda items going down the left. And as you do, all of the details for that agenda item are over here on the right. You can move things around. For example, if you wanted to change this one and I wanted to move it up, I can move it up in front of the snack time. And obviously I'll show you more editing in a moment as I create a brand new meeting from scratch. But I mean, here's the important thing. Your agenda is always up to date. This is now in front of the snack time like that. And as I add minutes into here, those also will. Now down at the bottom of this list, look at this. There's a couple of yellow ones. These are proposed items. When you create the items, they come in as proposed items. They're not part of the meeting, but they could have been proposed by any number of people. Someone who's responsible for the meeting can then go and accept that. And as I accept this, it moves it up to here and now includes it in the overall time. And so that's how you can manage that. Or you can go back to here and turn it back into a proposed one and push it back down. So you're able to structure. You can see the timeline for your meeting as it goes along here. You can see when things are going to happen, and maybe you can adjust that by changing the amount of whether it's 10 minutes or maybe you could give it, maybe we'll give that 15 minutes. And as you do that, your times over here are going to be automatically updated. So to really go into this detail, it probably is easier if you see me set up a whole new meeting, and I'll go through some of the details on that. Create a meeting just like normal. And I'm going to clear the date. I'm going to leave the date and time undetermined, and I'll create the meeting. So there it is, and I'll enter the meeting the way you normally would. Down here, I can set the total duration to be 60 minutes if that's what I'm planning to do. It's called by. I can set the layouts for the various things associated with the target role, just as you're used to, and edit the description. These are the normal sort of meeting level properties. Then we get to participants. Well, we don't have anybody in there yet, so I can start adding somebody. So we'll add George Washington. And we don't have anybody like that, but we'll add Xerxes the Great. In fact, what I often do is I'll add everybody from the members role in the workspace. That's often who it is that should be on my meeting. So I've gone and done that. It's also going to add myself into the list. And so now I have a list of the meeting participants, and eventually I will be able to track whether they attended or not, but we're not running the meeting yet. Then we can look at the start time. When do we want to start it? We could perhaps propose that we run this at noon on the 25th, and we'll set that to then. But there could be other proposed times. Maybe we'll want to do noon on the 26th, or let's go all the way to the 31st. All right, and so then people can indicate whether they're available at that time or not, and this becomes a way of sort of getting an overview of who can do what and what the good day is. So this still looks like the best date, and you can use this to set the meeting time to that if you haven't already. But then we get the overview. Now we haven't set up any agenda items. So let's go ahead and go into planning by clicking on planning here. And we go into edit. So this is where we're going to set up all of the agenda items. Right now we have none. It starts at noon and it ends at noon. So the first thing, we're going to review the minutes from the last meeting. It'll probably take about 10 minutes to do that, so that's good. Let's go ahead and accept that. We'll look at the plans for the new courtyard. Maybe we'll assign a presenter to present this. Okay, and we'll of course accept that. Let's add another one. So we'll make a decision about water. Let's add that. Maybe we want a break time in there. I've set it up for break time, and I can click this little thing. Now selecting this, I can move it up into the middle of the meeting as needed. And as I do all of this, my agenda over here is kept in sync. So this is now the online agenda that's available for the meeting. Of course, if we look at minutes, there's not much happening right there because we're not running the meeting yet. So as the time comes along, we get ready to get to the meeting itself. We then switch it into running mode. And when it's in running mode, we can go and use the timer capability here. This will time how long we spend in each item. And probably where you'll want to do this is in the item list here. So now we can see that the clock is running, and I can then set the minutes up. So I can take notes. So you enter some minutes in, and here it is like this. When it comes time to go to the next, you can then start the time on that. Now, what always was happening to me was I would forget to start the time. You know, we did this review. I have it here at 54 seconds, but I know that we actually discussed it for 10 minutes, so I can go in here and basically set this to be 10. And so therefore my actual times become more realistic, and I can look at that over time. And we go on to the next one, and we start the clock, and that now lets us know that we're working on that. We work our way through here. So I've pasted some possible text into there. And, as you're running the minutes, people can be looking at the minutes as they're being added into it in order to track that. So we finish up the meeting pretty much like normal. We'll get down to the bottom. All the notes are in, everything's done. We'll set it to completed, and that will now sort of lock it down so it won't change. And what you'll probably want to do then is to send an email out about the minutes, and we do that by choosing send email about the meeting. And here you can say, here is the minutes. And the only important thing is you need to make sure you choose whether you want to send the agenda or whether you want to send the minutes and which format you want for the minutes. And you will see down here a representation of the email that's going out, the minutes that have been written up, or whatever it is that you attach. And you just say send it, and your meeting is done. The minutes are sent. Nothing could be easier than that. That's the new Meeting UI. Give it a try. I think you're going to like it. It's got these 7 tabs. It's got the agenda and minutes as documents that can be used in a bunch of different ways, always kept in sync with the meeting as it goes along. There's no longer any need to generate the minutes. They're just always there. There's the meeting settings like before, the start time like before, the participants like before, but they're separated out into their own tabs. The overview gives you sort of one view of all of the agenda items, but the edit details is where you can go into each agenda item and set up the details of that. Give it a try. I think you're going to like it.